Get the action going Sunday at 3 Eastern. And Jeremy Fowler has been with the Commanders all week. He joins us now. Jeremy, Jayden Daniels spoke to the media earlier today. What did he have to say?
Daniel said it firmly, Laura. I let my play do the talking. That's why he has been loose all week. He has had an ear-to-ear smile every time we've seen him. He was hitting a two-step dance in the indoor facility before practice. So this team clearly is loose and confident.
Everybody tries to write like an underdog story, but for us, it's just we're just going out there and playing confident. Like, know we can compete against these guys, and that's a very good team. So there's nothing like I take a little extra motivation. I'm already motivated to go into the game, regardless if it was week 2 or the NFC Championship game. I mean, you really don't want to make a game too bigger than obviously what it is or where it can be. Obviously, it's a big game, but you got to go out there and keep the same process, keep the same routine, and trust your preparation.
Washington wrapped up a series of short practices today. Tomorrow they will hold a walkthrough, and then they will take a brisk 20 or so minute flight to Philadelphia. Head coach Dan Quinn has told his staffers this week, we are not about to play tight on Sunday.
Can't wait to see this game, Jeremy. Thanks so much for the latest on the Commanders from you. Jayden Daniels, by the way, looking to bring the Commanders their first 8-game win streak since 1991 when they started 11-0. Now, Jayden Daniels had a historic season on the road, which is important to note here as they'll go on the road. Out of 526 quarterbacks with at least 250 pass attempts on the road in a season, his completion percentage of 73.5% is the highest of that group. 2009 MVP Peyton Manning and 2018 Drew Brees ranked second and third for reference. Dan, how would you attack this Philly defense if you're Washington?
Were anyone else taken aback by watching Jayden do a spin in the middle of that drill during Jeremy's report?
What was that?
I've never seen anybody do that.
He's loose, as Jeremy told us.
Yeah, I talked a little bit about I do think you can have success against them with some motion runs. I think when you rewatch the Rams game as well, two things that stood out were, one, getting into a 3-by-0 formation, which Philadelphia absolutely has, and Washington absolutely has, and utilizing some play action pass. It felt like the 3-receiver side almost lifted a ton of coverage on Philadelphia's defense and allowed for some short throws, but then also just got the attention of some of those safeties. And this would be something, even in their no huddle, I think Washington is capable of. The second thing, you got to trap and or wham this defensive line, specifically those tackles. Carter, Williams, they love to penetrate in your run game. They're physical and very burst, violent off the line of scrimmage. If you could trap them a couple times, make them play a little bit slower, I think that helps you in the run game if you're Washington.
Yeah, the Rams had some success taking advantage of that aggression. Then when they got to the second level, they were able to go after Oren Burks, who was the Eagles' backup linebacker. So I agree with that. Something that the Commanders did very well in Week 16 that I think that there's an opportunity to do again for big plays is just Jayden Daniels in empty in no huddle. And he's a bit of a cheat code in those scenarios because of the threat of him running or his ability to run. He went for 2 explosive runs against Philadelphia out of empty, including the 29-yarder on 4th and 11. It's such a problem for them, but it's also because he's able to throw deep quickly. And again, he hit 2 go balls, one of which caught the Eagles with 12 men on the field. This Eagles pass rush, particularly in the interior, is obviously very intimidating, particularly when you have a backup guard. So it's a little bit scary that he's back there by himself. But because he throws the ball so quickly, when he sees a matchup he likes, that is mitigated to some degree.
I love that, Mina. Think about what we saw this week or the last time these two teams played is we see Terry McLaurin get behind Quinyon Mitchell. And at that point, no one had really tested these Philadelphia Eagles corners on the outside. The De'Ami Brown catch down the right sideline on Darius Slay. And then the movement to Olamide Zaccheaus getting the football down the field. Think about DeMarcus Robinson last week, the big catch over Isaiah Rodgers, and also down the sideline, Puka Nacua. I think you can attack this defense down the deep part of the field if you take timely shots. Add that along with what Dan is saying about being able to run the football, get into the play action, move into empty. Cliff Kingsbury has done an amazing job of mixing things up, making things diverse, and taking shots when they present themselves, and that could be a huge piece of the way they create chunk plays if you're the Washington Commanders this weekend.
So totally love the empty. I would throw early on 3 or 4 perimeter screens out to whether Quinyon Mitchell or Isaiah Rodgers' side and just force those guys to take on contact, to make a tackle in space. If I was Washington, one of the things I would be harping on consistently this week is this defense runs to the football, and they are going to punch at it out in space. So that ball security in those moments at all times, because I don't believe there's a defense in the league that runs all their 11 to the football and punches at it better than Philadelphia defensively right now. That's going to be huge.
Yeah, that's interesting when you think about the Philly defense. The other thing, RC, I'm curious your opinion. Can they find a way, Philly, to pressure Jayden Daniels without like actually blitzing? Are there different things they can do with their scheme and with their players?
Yeah, you most definitely can. Now, the big thing is Vic doesn't normally use a spy, and now you have Nakobe Dean being replaced by Burks in the middle of that field. And so some of those simulated pressures, which Nakobe Dean had become a master at, those things have been taken out of what they do in the playbook, and they kind of tried to add Zach Bond. But when you look late on in that game, when Nolan Smith and also Jalen Carter on the same side, the way those two work in tandem in twist and fake twist were huge in getting to Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, I think it's less about a spy and more about, one, rush lane integrity with your rush, but also having one of those backers, just making sure they've got eyes on Daniel as part of like almost a delayed rush. The other thing I'll say is this. If I'm Vic Fangio, and I guarantee he is telling his defense, force him to the left, almost every single one of Jayden Daniels' scrambles goes to his right. So that has to be a coaching point for this defense. Yeah,
it's interesting. Jayden Daniels, by the way, 96 QBR versus the Eagles in Week 16. So
they went after him. I would not.
Up against. They'll change that some, I bet. All right, coming up next, the coaching carousel rolls on. All signs are pointing.
Lại với kênh YouTube của mình, video ngày hôm nay mình lại làm những video tô mổ để gửi tặng tất cả các bạn đây. Đây là những đồ vật, con vật của mình chuẩn bị tô mổ để gửi tặng tất cả các bạn. Đấy. Những sản phẩm của mình rất chi là nhiều, đây. Và không thể thiếu được hộp xăm màu của mình này các bạn ơi. Hộp xăm màu giúp mình tạo ra những sản phẩm tuyệt đẹp. Và bây giờ các bạn cùng theo dõi mình tô mổ nha.
Bây giờ sẽ tiếp tục tô mổ nha các bạn. Mai này sau mình có rất là về mãi đâu. Đời cơn nói hôn nhẹ hay lắm nha. Tiếng đến ra sống nhiều bên xa thì tôi Trời